Single men. How many girls are you talking to on average when you're single? I have about 4 female friends not counting family. If you mean how many am I dating while single, even if it includes in my head the number is 0. Same here, not talking to anyone. Dating is just exhausting and even just getting to that point is tough. I have a close mixed group of friends if that counts. I've always noticed that when single it comes in waves. I'll go a while with no one on the docket then suddenly have several women I'm talking to at once. It's always feast or famine. It's strange, when you single hardly any girl shows interest. Once you start dating a girl, suddenly a new girl starts hitting on you every other day. I was married for several years since divorced. I got attention from women all the time when I had the wedding band on. Outside that time I can't think of any time I've gotten any unsolicited attention from a woman. Depends on how fortunate I'm getting on Tinder. Sometimes it's 0, other times it's 3-4. This is just talking though, not meeting. If we do go out on a date, I like her and see something might happen, I will stop talking to the other girls. I will keep the options open until I'm sure I'm staying with that girl. You should infer talking in this context as somebody you could realistically have over this weekend if you asked her. None usually, but when I've been working out recently and getting regular sleep it can go up to 0. I've even talked to as much as 0 girls before at the exact same time. Once you can bench 3 plates that number should go up to 0. When I was single, I would talk to one at a time. Always felt uncomfortable talking to more than one. Sure, it's not technically cheating, but it still feels wrong. TBH, every breakup for me is like this big soul crushing event, so in between relationships I'm mostly just freaking recovering, and it seems like as soon as I'm feeling okay again someone seemingly okay slips into that vacuum, and repeat process. Dang, same lol. 1, 2 at the most. If I'm talking to someone, then I'm interested in them, and usually only them. I'm a monogamous man when it comes to looking relationship wise and I draw a hard line against being in a poly relationship. I'm okay with a little more wiggle room if all I want are FWB, but even that's a very temporary thing for me because I'm the type to catch feelings quickly in those situations, so I don't do that often. 01. I'm never talking to 2 women at once in that way. If one woman isn't enough for me to give my time and attention to, I won't waste her time. I do this too and still I get mixed up with who said what. Let's be real, it's not because some stranger deserves monogamy. Back when I was single I was mostly not looking, so 0. Then I'd try to contact as many potentially compatible ones as possible on POF and Tinder and maybe 1 in 10 would write back. 1 in 10 of those would actually turn into a first date. 1 in 10 of those eventually became my wife. Never looked back on dating since. Good riddance. Bunch of damaged, anxious, avoidant children out there who never work through their issues. It's full of people playing a mess of games designed against finding a compatible person and having a good relationship. How managed to pull a marriage and kids out of that I don't know, but I'm glad I never have to do it again. 1 in 10 is good, it's more like 1/50 for me. Shoots depressing. When it rains it pours. Every time I was single, I'd either be in a drought or have at least 2 girls that seemed interested. IDKY. I kept it to 1 when dating. Happy to say the one I was talking to is now my girlfriend. Never could split my attentions like that. Just 1. It takes effort and time to talk to more than one. With a full-time job and hobbies unless you aren't serious. More than 1 would be too much. 01. I tried juggling multiple conversations before, and it just didn't feel like I was providing enough attention to either girl. Just put them both in a group chat with you. Problem solved. Confused if this was only for single men. When I was single, it can range from 0 to like 4, but mostly on average it was like 1-2. Same, and I don't really have a problem getting women TBH. That's still my capacity. With intention on asking them out, almost none. Not a lot of single straight women around me these days, and if there are, they don't stay single long. Just to talk though, a decent amount every day. I work with teachers who are almost all women. 0. Honestly though, sometimes I don't even talk to guys, or people, or even myself. I just sit there, or lay there, brainlessly scrolling through Reddit for hours on end. It's not fun. It is what it is though. With all this dating lexicon and its ambiguous definitions, what exactly is the talking phase? Because I can list a dozen people I'd be interested in at various degrees but haven't exchanged phone numbers or gone out with any of them. You slide in dem DMS. Before I met my wife, I was talking to about 5 at the same time but just talking mostly. It was cool for a very short time then became lonely. Didn't get much out of it. 2 to 3 in the casual getting to know each other phase. Any more than that gets exhausting and hard to juggle. Sometimes you can be matched with 10 girls at a time, but only 2 of them will be responding regularly by the next day. Online dating obviously. When I was single and dating, roughly a year ago, I found I could juggle about 7 at a time. I was dating and did not sleep with them. It was just dating and getting to know them. I was looking for a very specific type of woman, so I did cycle through quite a bit until I found the right woman for me. 0. About to be 40, single, never married, no kids, live and work in SoCal, just not interested in relationships, live a great life on my own. None. I like my life simple, easy, and mind frick free. If I meet a girl in the wild, great, but I'll not waste my time joining the hordes of thirsty men beating down the digital doors of very ordinary women. 1 at a time. Treat others how you wanna be treated, even if it's short-lived before she decides I don't pass what the kids call a vibe check. Also, as soon as somebody uses that phrase seriously, I'll lose all interest in them. Right now, none. I ended things with the last one about a year ago because she wanted to compete with my kids. When I am looking, never more than 1. It feels gross to me to break things off with someone because maybe someone for someone else. I'd say I've typically got at least 2 more substantial conversations going on. I think I've topped out at 10, which is an exhausting limit when I'm usually using my second language and still expected to manage the conversation. I can't do that during weeks I'm working TBH. Right now, I have messages from 5 different women, 2 of whom I have first dates lined up with over the next couple of weeks. To answer the question, I'd say my average is 4. When single, I cast a wide net and whatever comes in I communicate with until there is a clear front runner, at which point I stop communicating with anybody who is clearly not for me, and from there things dwindle down to someone I date or back down to 0, at which point I cast a new net. It's been a few years and it depends a little on your definition of talking. I used to use apps like Cupid and Tinder. I'd always want to talk to someone for a while before meeting them. I'd be chatting with any number of girls on those apps at one time. In part because my experiences on those apps as a man, you kind of have to play the numbers game. It's also a kind of weird dynamic. Bit like you'd be chatting with someone and realize it wouldn't work out romantically, or they'd randomly disappear, presumably because they got involved in a relationship or sick of the app, or it would just fizzle for one reason or another. So like you'd want to hedge your bets. On average I'd maybe meet up with 2 out of every 10 girls I talk to on those apps, and sometimes I'd go weeks without meeting up with anyone. But if you mean like hanging with, going on dates with, etc., maybe 2 or 3 at most. Once it got serious enough or I got an indication I wanted to progress a relationship with one over the others, I'd tell them pretty quick. I wouldn't really do this if I had gone further than kissing one of them generally. Maybe this is worth mentioning too though, because it is a little bit of a caveat. Sometimes, I'd get involved with girls who would just want to bang long term, or someone to call when they wanted to bang. I think of those girls differently, since there was an agreement understanding that we both just wanted something casual. A lot of those girls were really great, but they just weren't looking for something that serious, or we weren't quite the right fit for a committed relationship, but we could still enjoy our time together. This is probably too long of an answer. Hopefully I actually answered your question and don't sound like a scumbag. I struggled with dating etiquette a lot. I'm so glad I found my partner and don't have to think about it anymore. Go to roll with the rule of 3. This applies to chicks as well. In fact, I learned this from chicks. Emotional connection girl. Your would-be girlfriend if you were actively looking to start a relationship. You like to be the little spoon? This girl will be your big spoon. You like your hair tasseled? Boom. Done. You need to set boundaries with this girl, because she ultimately probably deserves better than you, and if another guy comes along she needs to take it. Date night girl. She'll split the bill. She's fun to talk to but not totally your type, and there's no pressure of sex involved. You like Greek food? Her granddad is from Greece. Perfect, she knows the good spots. She likes art? Excellent. You have a pass to the local exhibit. She gets along with the fellas fine, but is mostly out of your circle. Gives you new perspective and stuff to talk about. The hookup. She's gotta be on the same page as you in regards to what this is. Otherwise someone gets hurt and her roommates dump a drink on you at the bar. That's just embarrassing. Ideally she's more experienced than you in bed, so you can learn a thing or two. You've been labeled as a boring guy in the sack. She's got a pair of fuzzy pink handcuffs that make you extremely uncomfortable, but heck it, you only live once I guess. Oh, why do you have that candle in your hand? You get the picture. And once you meet a girl that can be all three, you win. I'll flirt with one too, but when it moves to the communication part just one, but as soon as it moves on to dates or dating, that's when the DMS blow up with chicks out of nowhere wanting to smash and go on dates and all kinda stuff. It's like dang, where y'all when I was metaphorically fishing. 0. That's why I'm single. When I don't want to be single anymore. 1. Never understood the talk to entertain as many as possible until you decide on one mentality. How am I going to properly fairly give you a chance when you're lost in a sea of people? But that's just me. I'm not gonna lie, I don't even know any single women that aren't family, and I'm not from Alabama, so they're off the table. I talk to one female friend every couple days, another every week or so, and a third sparsely. All 3 have boyfriends or husbands and none is a romantic interest. I talk to a couple of girls on Instagram, but I think they both have boyfriends. Again, none are romantic. Right now I'm not really trying to meet women. I'm a fit, decent looking guy. I notice women scoping me out quite often, but I don't make the effort. I went on a date with a girl a week and a half ago and she turned out to be a bit nuts. It would be cool to have a girl to spend some time with, but I'm not there. I'm working on me, and I am happy. What else is there to say? Sorry, just this question makes me laugh. The lives men apparently led according to women is always funny and sort of sad. You really think 85% of us live like the top 10%? The danger of this thread is that anything that isn't self-deprecating is going to get downvoted to heck, so results will be skewed. Depends. Do you really mean talking to, or do you mean talking to? In general, I talk to whoever talks to me, regardless of what's between their legs. But if a female starts showing interest in me and if I feel the same, I'll get flirty back. Won't stop me from talking to other females because talk is just talk, but I won't flirt with anyone else. When I'm unattached, I'm friendly with a lot of ladies. If I catching feelings for one, I focus on her while still being a gentleman and cordial to others. My paramour never has reason to be jealous of me. I'm a one-woman dude. Dang. Haven't been single in 7 years, but when I was talking to a whole bunch of different women at the same time, and I'm far from stereotypically attractive, these 0 responses make me wonder if the system has broken entirely. 0. I've learned partnership by any definition is a byproduct of having taken enough executive action pursuing the life you live for you. For so long I made my crushes and flings my priority, only to realize I was doing that to get away with not having to deal with who I am. Now, frisky fiend as I've ever been, I have priorities around my interests and my future rather than just on this desire to have someone. If I'm talking to any, I definitely try to keep it to one. Obviously if you're just talking you don't have to be exclusive, but it just seems like the ethical way to go about it. There's exceptions, like if it's not evident that you're really talking, then I think why not be chatting with a few women. But if things start getting genuinely flirtatious, then I just feel like it's respectful to not be talking to several women. I just know if I was talking to someone and I thought there was chemistry, I'd be pretty put off if I found out she was flirting with other dudes simultaneously. I was talking to 5 at a time when I was looking for my partner. None ever made the cut, although there were some that turned more serious than others. I finally found my true love, soulmate, best friend and lover after 2.5 years. Within that span I talked to over 100 women. From my teens to mid-20s it was usually 3-5 that I was pursuing. Dating is a numbers game. If you're not talking to a broad number of people you have fewer options to choose from. By date 2 I typically knew which ones I wouldn't mesh with well and I would stop talking to them. If I still was interested in them by date 3-4 we'd usually end up exclusive. Most of my relationships lasted between 6 months and 2 years except for my wife. I've been with her almost 9 years. That said, I made that very clear. Most of the time they all knew each other, and they always at least knew there were others. Honesty is important when you're single and dating. Deception will only make life harder later. I actively avoid speaking to other people, but especially women. I feel like a creep and anyways couldn't hold a conversation if I wanted to. It'd just be awkward. LOL01. Maybe 2 at most ever. This is coming from a guy who considers himself pretty successful with women relationships dating. Normally I just kinda talk to female friends on occasion. But after getting tired of having to initiate then carry every conversation. But no, I'm the boring one. With all of them, I basically don't talk to any girls nor guys outside of my close circle. I practically don't exist but for my family and my few friends. When I'm single, and I guess with life in general, the idea is to try and explore, have options. However, the reality is I'm not a player, don't find trying to juggle people fun, and I actually care about people's feelings. Also, major introvert extrovert, super responsive to what people are giving off, and have no poker face unless I'm joking, so who knows what headspace and vibes I'll give off. Anyhow, might talk to a couple girls at once, go on a few dates and there's normally someone you're into or vice versa, or not. That being said, it's usually either all or nothing with dating, utter despair and loneliness or too much to handle. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.